Hello and welcome to Grognard Solo Gaming. I am the Grognard and today we are participating in the Solo RPG challenge for the month of June. And as always, the challenge has been created by Lekkis over at the Caverna Lekkis channel, and it is going to be linked below. So this time the challenge is to use only an oracle and no system. And I have chosen to use the Game Master's Apprentice fantasy deck. And what we are going to do today is that we are going to see how things go for the scout that is sent out by Captain Corey in order to look for Zafar Frerik. So it is probably going to be a fairly short session, but who knows? The oracle might surprise me. All right, so let's begin by finding a name for our scout. Right, so just to clarify, this is part of the 4 Against Darkness Defenders of Kelmon campaign, but this session is not going to use the 4 Against Darkness rules at all, but I am simply going to ask questions and use the deck in order to get the answers. Okay, so let's start by getting a name for our scout. Fadi Nalia Galen. I am going to go with Galen. So Galen has been summoned by Captain Corey in Kelmon, and when he arrives, Captain Corey is going to say, "Oh, you are here. Oh, most excellent. I have a very special and important mission for you. There is. Have you heard about Zafar Frerik?" And then the question is, has Galen heard about Zafar Frerik? Is he famous or infamous? I find it unlikely, since when the party set out to find the goblins, no one knew about Zafar Frerik. So I'm going to say that the odds are bad that Galen has ever heard of Zafar Frerik. And likely odds bad, that would be a no. So Galen shakes his head and Captain Corey continues. "Oh, well, we have recently found out that he is a mad scientist and he was hiding in a lair to the north. You know, when you travel north, then eventually you reach a bridge, and if you do not cross the bridge, but instead you go a little further north, then you will find a cave." And since Galen is a scout, he would be familiar with the terrain around Kelmon. "Well, so what happened was that a group of adventurers, they went to the lair and they fought Zafar Frerik, but they used the sleep spell to defeat him, and that was perhaps not the wisest course of action, because we have learned from the mayor of Psamtik that this Zafar Frerik probably has not given up on his mad experiments that require humans, and those humans do not survive. So I need you to go to the old lair and see what you can find. Start there." All right, so then Galen knows where he needs to go. So he is just going to go and pick up his things, and then he is going to leave Kelmon. So Galen is going to set out to the north, and we know that it takes almost a day to reach the location of Zafar Frerik's previous lair, but I am not going to be counting rectangles. I am simply going to draw one card and say that the odds are even that he has an encounter on the way. So let's see. No encounter on the way then. So that means that Galen reaches the cave in the evening of the first day, and well, since there is no system, I am not using the solo role-playing framework, so that means that he doesn't have to end his adventuring day just because the sun sets. So he is in fact just going to keep going, and he is going to investigate the previous lair of Zafar Frerik. So the first room is the Goblin Market, well, the former Goblin Market. So let's ask the question, has someone or something new moved into this lair? And I'm going to say that the odds are 50-50, so even odds. Let's see. And that would be a no. So the cave is still empty, and that means that Galen can move around without getting jumped by any kind of wandering monsters or anything of the sort. So then Galen would have the wilderness skills that the party lacks. However, it has been, well, this is probably the day after, since Galen got a full day, sort of. So yes, this is the day after the party arrived in Calamon, and that means the tracks and things are 1 day older. I'm not gonna say that is super significant, so I am going to say that, well, actually, let's see. Captain Corey told the party that he was going to get his best scouts, but is that true? Is Galen actually one of the best scouts? Or for whatever reason has there been some kind of mix-up so that he is in fact, for some reason, maybe it's a case of mistaken identities or something like that. Is he for some reason an imposter that is not good at his job? So I am drawing a GMA card, and then well, I'm gonna say I'm gonna say that it's unlikely. Yeah, so the odds are bad, and I am drawing a card and then I'm flipping it over, and let's see. Odds bad, no. Okay, so he actually is. He is one of the best scouts, and that is probably a good thing for him, right? So then I am going to say that he is able to follow the tracks, even though there has been a storm since Zafar Frerik moved his things out of this lair. So then I am going to draw a card, and I'm gonna get a direction. So since these cards are double-sided, what I am doing all the time is that I'm drawing the top card, and then after I have asked the question, I flip the card over, so I don't know what the answer is going to be. So this time I am not asking a question, but I'm going to look at the arrow that is on the orange background located in the middle of the card. So which direction do the tracks lead in? And let's see. That would be an arrow pointing to the east. Well, actually, that would mean that they have moved to the river, and that would mean that they have moved Zafar Frerik's things by boat. So that actually poses a problem, because no matter how skilled a tracker Galen is, he is not going to be able to track a boat. So then his only chance would be if he could find someone who has seen something. So let's ask the question, is he lucky enough that there is some kind of a sentient humanoid around here that he could ask about this event? I'm gonna have to say that it is unlikely, so the odds are bad, and the question is, was there a witness that Galen can find here at this point? And flipping a card. Oops. Bad odds, unfortunately, no. So that would mean that Galen is pretty much stumped at this point. But, well, he knows that Zafar Frerik needs human test subjects for his experiments. So that would mean that most likely Zafar would go to a place where he can find new minions instead of the goblins that were killed by the party, and also where he could find, well, where his minions could find and kidnap people. And he wouldn't go to Kelmon because Kelmon is a big, walled and well-defended city, so it's highly unlikely that goblins or anything of the kind could kidnap people there. I mean, he could try to kidnap people from Samtik once again, but that village is on high alert at this point, and potentially they might even have started the construction of some kind of palisade or something like that in order to increase their defenses against goblins and other evil creatures. So let's see. Galen would know where the closest village is. So in relation to his current position, where is the closest village that is not Samtik? That would be the question, and again I am going to use the arrow. So let's see. And that is an arrow pointing to the northeast. All right, so even though I am technically supposed to just use an oracle, I feel at this point that I have to bring in the Pocket Lands cards in order to expand the map. So I am going to do that. Okay, so having expanded the map even more to now encompass 9 Pocket Lands cards, the conclusion that Galen would come to is that there is another village that is located to the west of Kelmon. First of all, let's just get a name for the village to the northeast. And that would be Farid, Kalea, or Misha. Let's say that village is called Misha. And then let us get a name for the village that is west of Kelmon, that is, well, at least in Galen's mind, currently the most likely target for Zafar Frerik if he needs human test subjects. Let's have a name for that one. Hakim, Alaya, or Granata. I am going to go with Alaya then. This would mean that the easiest way to reach Alaya is to travel south along the road and pass through the forest to the west and then travel the grassland and reach Alaya that way. Then again, perhaps it is unlikely that Zafar Frerik would already have been able to set up his operations and get some kind of minions to do his dirty work. So I think what Galen is going to do at this point is that he is going to go back to Kelmon and he is going to report to Captain Corey, and then he is going to see what the captain's orders are, if he is indeed meant to go to Alaya or not. So let's see, 50-50 that he has an encounter on the way back to Kelmon. Well, he's gonna have to camp first outside the lair, but since he is a scout, I'm just going to assume that he is able to make a safe camp. So I'm not going to check for an encounter during the night, but I am going to check for an encounter on his way back to Kelmon. So 50-50, it's even odds, and let's see. He has an encounter, so what might that encounter be? Let's see. Well, I'm going to use one of the sense impression prompts, so let's see what we get. The fluttering of feathered wings, thick fog, stomach-tilting lurch, a divine fragrance. Right, so I really don't know which one to use, so I am just going to draw another card and I'm going to use the D4 result to see which one I am going to be using. And yeah, let's see. Right, number 1, the fluttering of feathered wings. All right, so some kind of a bird creature. Is it a dangerous bird creature? 50-50, let's see. No. All right. So is it significant somehow? Because maybe they are vultures circling something that has died. I don't know. So the question is, are the birds of some kind of significance that would make Galen want to investigate them? And I'm gonna say even odds again. No, they are just regular birds that are scared by Galen as he passes them by, and they fly away, and that is all that happens. And that means that Galen reaches Kelamon safely, and he is able to report back to Captain Corey. And then the question is Captain Corey going to think that it is worthwhile for Galen to go to Alaya to see if people have begun to go missing in that area? So, well, I'm just going to say 50-50, and the answer is yes. Captain Corey is going to say, "Oh, well, most excellent work by you, Galen. I am going to inform the party of heroes that you have found this information, and I think definitely that you should go to Alaya and investigate further. So please do, and then report back to me." And I think that is where this sort of side quest thing is going to end for now, and then we will see if we return to the adventures of Galen the Scout again at some later stage. So, as always, a thank you to Lekkis for coming up with the challenge, and of course a big thank you to you for watching, and hopefully I will see you in the next video.